Good evening, everyone. It's me, Drive Ghost, and welcome back to another tier list. Haven't done one of these in a while, but I recently added quite a few new video ideas to my Google Doc on video ideas, obviously. But a lot of them are bigger projects than what I usually do. Not necessarily big on their own, but bigger than what I usually do on this channel. And so I decided that in between those, I guess you could call them projects, I would do some shorter videos like these tier lists, which are relatively low effort and, not very time consuming. Anyway, I am a TF2 player, and while I'm not the most diverse player, I have at least tried out every class multiple times in varying playstyles. I'm obviously not, the best TF2 player out there. I'm, what many of you would call mid. But I do think that there are two, maybe three that I'm generally skilled at. But I wanted to make this quick tier list to show how I feel personally about playing each class. Not necessarily I guess my skill will factor into it, but how I feel about playing all 9 classes in Team Fortress 2. And then I'll do a second version of this in this video, where I'll just give my general feelings on the characters, and rank them that way, like how much I like them as characters, and then how much I like them as playing them. So let's get right into it. So first up here is Engineer. And Engineer is immediately an S tier. He is by far my most played class. I think I had 40-something hours as him, and one of my lives was 22 minutes in total, so there's that. But yeah, he is my most played class. I don't think he's the one that I'm the best at. That would probably go to what I'll get into later. But I love playing Engineer. I like handling the buildings. I like setting up the buildings, supporting my team with dispensers and teleporters, and setting up the sentries, watching them wreak havoc and all that. I love the mini sentries with the Gunslinger and the Frontier Justice. I have really grown attached to the short circuit. I pretty much just spam the energy ball. But the only thing I really don't like about Engineer is that people will camp the absolute shit out of your buildings. And I understand why. It makes sense. They aren't gonna stand in the firing range or just, hide from it. But it's just so annoying when you can't really do anything about it. Because, you're soft, squishy Engineer. What are you gonna do? Go fight them? You're gonna get your ass kicked. Unless you're Uncle Dane or something. Or an experienced combat Engineer. But yeah, that's the only part I dislike about playing Engineer, really. Everything else is pretty much fine for the most part. Not just fine, I really enjoy it. And immediately right on the opposite end is Heavy in D tier. Now, as much as I love Heavy, I despise playing him. The only time I've actually had fun as Heavy is when I one time messed around in Turbine as Fat Scout with the family business. I enjoyed that. I actually felt like a beast. But I hate how slow Heavy is, and I get that's the point. If he was fast, normally, he would be broken, because he has 300 health and some pretty crazy weapons in his arsenal. But I just personally cannot stand playing him because he's that slow. And the only weapons that speed him up come at the cost of, reducing his health. I think it's the Eviction Notice, and I know it's the Gloves of Running Urgently. And again, I understand, that's balanced, it's fine, but I just cannot stand. It's not just that, by the way. People will target the absolute hell out of you. Generally, there are 3 classes that will get hard targeted themselves. Technically 4 if you count Engineer, but I don't count him because it's usually just his buildings that get targeted, and then he's, targeted after, usually. But Heavy, Spy, and Medic get targeted far more than other classes because of their capabilities, generally. And so as Heavy, not only are you going to be getting jumped by a bajillion people anytime there's a fight going on, snipers are going to have their crosshairs on you, spies will be sneaking up on you with their little knives and shit. It's so annoying. I just can't deal with the stress of playing Heavy. I'm sure actually I've heard that there actually aren't that very many Heavy mains, but I'm sure that the few Heavy mains out there have found ways to enjoy his playstyle, but I'm just not one of them. Next is a bit of a tricky one, because Scout is one of the 3 classes that I quote-unquote main. The 3 that I main being Engineer, Scout, and Pyro. They're the ones I play by far the most often. But of those three, I play Scout the least, and that's for a reason. He's kind of a mixed bag for me. See, I love being really fast. I love the double jump, triple jump with the atomizer, and, going in, rushing people down, throwing the flying guillotine, using the short stop to hit them at mid-range. Sometimes I just use the basic scattergun if I really want to try that, but I just really can't get around how easy it is to die as him. And I get, again, that's the point. But I think he can only get an A tier for me because while I do love playing him, I hate how hard it is for me to gain momentum as him. And yes, it is a skill issue, go ahead. But, it's just me personally, I'm not good enough as Scout to enjoy him to the fullest. I mean, you can tell by the fact that I use the flying guillotine and shortstop. I'm not the best Scout player out there. And now another character that I have, pretty not very good feelings about is Soldier. Soldier is one of two classes that I have honestly never gained momentum with. I haven't necessarily done poorly as him, but I've never done good enough to really warrant liking playing as him and actively wanting to. So I'm putting him in C tier because I just genuinely have no feelings regarding him, and the feelings I do have tend to lean more towards negative. I have really wanted to do, cool stuff with him, use the banners and stuff, but it's so difficult for me. I'm not used to aiming the rocket projectiles, and I don't necessarily want to learn, because another problem with him is that he feels really slow, because he's, the second slowest character in the game, and I already ranted about that with Heavy, and, also, I have prejudice against soldiers because they wreck my buildings all the time as engineer, camping them from little corners and stuff with direct hit. But anyway, next up is Medic, and Medic is actually probably the closest of the other classes to being one of my mains. Now, I don't really use him that often because I value my mental and physical health, ironically, but it's more so that I always pick him if we don't currently have, well, not always, but if we don't currently have a medic, I'll usually go in as medic just so that we have one. I completely just play casual, and usually it's only capture the flag, but I do mix and match. I do play other game modes, it's just that capture the flag and is my most played one by far. But anyway, I love playing medic when I have a good team. I'm putting him in the middle because my enjoyment of him depends entirely on the team. What I usually run is the quick fix. I also have a crits Craig, but I prefer the quick fix because of how fast it heals. And I'm not really good at uber pushes, so I don't use the stock invulns. But the point is, my enjoyment of him depends entirely on the team. I have had teams that do a pretty good job of protecting me, because, when I'm healing them, I'm defenseless. If I shout, "Help!" they'll, turn and start, trying to defend me from whatever's going on, at least make an attempt. And then I've had tons of teams that are just, freaking couldn't be bothered about the person keeping them alive and giving them the upper hand, because I'll shout, "Help!" and they'll just be that doesn't seem pertinent, and I get freaking beat to death with a baseball bat. So yeah, my enjoyment of Medic depends entirely on the team, which is why he's going middle of the road in B tier. And next we have the second class that I've never really gained momentum with, Demo Man. I've tried, two of the main three playstyles for Demo Man. The basic pipes, sticky bombs, and whatever melee you want. I usually use the caper because I don't really use melees anyway. Ever. I've done Hybrid Knight with the grenade launcher, the shield, and a sword. Excuse me, I apologize. I'm having a Dr. Pepper in between. I apologize if you heard that burp. I also apologize if you're hearing Discord notifications. But continuing on, I've done both those playstyles. I don't have any. I apologize. Oh my goodness, why am I so burpy? I've done two of the main three playstyles. I haven't done full Demo Knight because I haven't gotten my hands on any boots. Unlocks really don't like me when it comes to Demo Man and Medic. They have not given me jack for him, and Spy also. But He's going in C tier along with Soldier because, again, he's one of the two that I've never really gained momentum with. And that's, again, it's entirely a skill issue. I don't know how to play him that good. I can't aim the grenades that well. I'm not really good at timing, so I can't use the sticky traps that effectively. I would probably enjoy Demo Night if I had the full set and could, like, actually have it reach its full potential, because I did enjoy Hybrid Night that much, but I assume I would enjoy Demo Night. At least until the Sentry fucks me up, but... yeah, if I could, he would probably go up to B tier if I did try Demo Night and enjoyed it, but as it stands, he's in C tier because, again, he's one that I've never really been able to gain momentum with and actually enjoy. And we have the Stealthy French Boy, aka Scout's dad, aka the Spy. The Spy is going immediately in D tier because I have never played him that seriously, and when I've tried, I've gotten fucked right the hell up. So, literally the only time I play Spy is when I want to mess around with, like, the Cloak and Dagger, just chill out and then the enemy's base and, like, taunt them with messages, just like, one thing I like to do is I like to give them hints about where I am and see how fast they can find me. Like, someone will be walking around and I'll go, warmer, colder, warmer, 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 colder, oh my god, warmer, warmer, you found me! That's what I'll do sometimes. Also, I apologize for you hearing my mouth right in the mic like that, but that's literally the only time I play Spy. I'm not that great at stealth, and, you know, with people, like, running around frantically and stuff all over the base, it's kind of hard to not get bumped, so for me, as an unskilled Spy player who doesn't know how to get good, it's really just doom and downhill for him, in my eyes. Next we have my second place main, which I consider my main. It's just that I'm usually stuck playing Inji because either our team doesn't have one, or they only have one and we need two or something like that, or I just feel like playing them. Usually I'm just picking Engineer to, like, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, to fill a spot or because I'm in the mood. But Pyro is my go-to almost always. I love using the degreaser and the stock shotgun. I find that combo really satisfying to use. I used to use the Scorch Shot, but I couldn't really aim that well with the projectile, and, you know, it explodes, but I just wanted to try out the shotgun. I ended up loving it, so I stuck with it, but Pyro is by far my favorite to play. Like, even higher than Inji, these aren't ranked in, like, the individual tiers aren't ranked, by the way. I never do that. So, this isn't indicative of how I feel about the characters in the individual tiers just overall, but I really enjoy playing Pyro. He is what I would consider, like I said, my main fireman. But yeah, I really enjoy playing him, and that's basically all I have to say about him. I really love Pyro. And lastly, the Australian, but actually New Zealand, sniping headshot boy himself, Sniper. Sniper is one of the characters I don't play super often and don't have a lot of unlocks for. I do have the Sydney Sleeper, which is one of the things I wanted, but I do not have a lot of practice as Sniper, but I have gained momentum with him on 2 Fort, like a little bit, so he escapes the C tier, and I don't not enjoy playing him, so he doesn't go in D tier. Therefore, he goes middle of the road. One of the complaints I have about Sniper is that I actually don't have any main complaints about him. He feels fine to play. The only real complaints I have is that other snipers will not fuck off to let you figure out how to play him. Like, if you're playing on 2 Fort just trying to practice, I understand that's the objective, but they will relentlessly headshot you, because sniper duels are serious business. Alright, so part 2 of the vid. This is the part, as I mentioned before, where I'll be ranking them on how I feel about their characters, like their personality, voice lines, their design, stuff like that. Not necessarily how I enjoy playing them. So, let's get right into that. This will be a bit quicker because there's not a lot of setup. So, starting out with Engineer, something a lot of you might not know, because I don't necessarily, like, have a noticeable accent or anything, is that I grew up in the south of the United States of America. That's where I live, that's where I was raised, and, you know, I have that southern in me. It comes out sometimes, like, if I'm, like, really energetic or laughing, or if I'm frustrated, sometimes the southern will come out, but that part makes me resonate with Angie. You know, I'm not Texan, but... So, how do I feel about him as a character, like, design-wise, personality-wise? Well, design-wise, to me, Angie doesn't feel all that special, at least not in-game. In the comics, his design obviously is special, if you know, you know, but... context, he gets a different appearance in the comics to his game design. But anyway, how I feel about him as a character, I do like his attitude. How he comes across like, you know, all polite and well-mannered, but then he'll say some, like, scary or disrespectful shit, like, "You best hope," not pointed at you, and stuff like that. And I really like that. You know, him being all polite and having that southern hospitality. But then just still reminding you he is a cold-blooded mercenary. He's probably gonna kill you if you piss him off, or are on the other team. So yeah, he goes in A tier. He's definitely not one of my favorites personality-wise, and his design does hold him back a little bit because it's not that unique, and like not a whole lot about it other than like the mechanical hand and the goggles really stand out. A lot of it is generic engineer design, for the most part, which isn't necessarily a problem. I mean, he's meant to just resemble an engineer. These characters are all, like, they resemble what they're supposed to be, for the most part. But a lot of them have, like, unique parts to their design. And, by the way, putting character in a D for this one does not mean I dislike them. I love all of the mercs in terms of personality. I love them to death. It's more so ranking amongst themselves how much I like more than the others. And Angie is pretty high in that regard. Similarly, I think Heavy also goes into either A or B. Let me talk a little bit and see if I figure it out. I really do like Heavy's personality, and, you know, I love Russian accents and stuff. But his personality doesn't really stand out all that much to me. Like, he's a cool guy, he's chill when he needs to be, and then he'll, like, beat the living daylights out of anyone that needs it. But I can't really decide if I like him A or B worthy. I think I'll go with A. I generally like the characters that just, like, really enjoy fighting and stuff, and he is basically the pinnacle of that, you know, cry some more! And he literally goes at people with his fists. You can't really get much more badass than that. I feel like the one thing that kind of, well, I don't want to say it holds him back for me, but his Meet the Team video, technically more unique, but it didn't really show off much of what he's about. Like, they did the Meet the Sandwich and everything, but they didn't really show off that he fights with fists and stuff. Yeah, they showed a lot of his personality and gave, like, trivia and stuff about his gun. But I just feel like they could have done more with his Meet the Team video. That's not going to be a standard for them all, by the way, but a lot of them will be considered because that's what shows off a big majority of their personality. But anyway, yeah, I say Heavy is A tier. I really enjoy him, but he just has, like, some small things that hold him back from being S tier for me. Now for, as Soundsmith calls him, the fast Boston boy. Other people probably call him that. But Scout. Now, if it was just Game Scout, you want to know where I'd put him? I'd probably put him in B tier, if it was just the games. Because, while I do kinda like cocky personalities, and Scout's pretty funny with his dialogue and stuff, and, you know, I love the grass grows, birds fly, sun shines, and brother, I hurt people. I love that line. And, you know, the entire monologue from his Meet the Team video, but, you know, annoying personalities just kind of, like, grate on me after a while. So if it was just game, I would have put him in B. But the comics totally redeem him in my eyes. And I'm not going to spoil, but in the comics and in Night of the Living Bread, we see a side of Scout that isn't really shown that much in the games, where, especially with Miss Pauling, where he can actually be not necessarily totally nice, but, you know, a downright chill dude for the most part. And, like, someone you could actually see yourself, like, being friends with, not just someone pissing you off all the time. So, including the comics and Night of the Living Bread, I put Scout in S tier, but if it were just games, he probably would have ended up in B tier after thinking for a while. So, next, rest in peace Rick May, is Soldier, and he is an undeniable S tier. I don't think anyone could do a TF2 character tier list and not put the character in S tier. Because there is no one in the world who has played TF2 or seen his Meet the Team video that hates him. He is hilarious, and he never feels overdone because, you know, all the characters have goofy, you know, traits to their personalities. But he is so lovably over the top, you can never get enough of Soldier. And more than that, he's not just a goofy character, he's, despite everything, a very competent, like, soldier. And, you know, his backstory is crazy, knuckin' futs and all that. Also, fun fact, he's technically Heavy's brother-in-law now. So, that's fun. I'm sure Heavy absolutely bloody loves that. But anyway, yeah, all things considered, there's not anything I dislike about Soldier's character. You know, his design is somewhat basic, but, you know, having the helmet cover the eyes, that gives a little bit more personality to him. It's very slight, but it helps. And, yeah, there's just absolutely nothing I can complain about with him. Next is Medic, and he is easily, and the last, S tier. I love Medic's, like, sassy personality. He's like, you know, Archimedes, no! It's filthy in there. You know, I just love him. He's got the perfect amount of sass and, you know, again, accent. I love accents, especially German ones. But, you know, I also love, like, scientist, doctor characters who are just straight up insane, have no ethics. Obviously not in real life. I would hate that in real life, but in media and stuff, you know, those characters are always really fun to me. And he's also pretty interesting in the comics. I haven't seen a lot of him in the comics yet. Excuse me. But what I have seen, I did enjoy. So, yeah. He's a pretty easy S tier for me. So, next up is Prince Tavish de Groot himself, the Demo Man. And he's actually one that I had to think quite a bit on, because I couldn't really figure out how I actually felt about his personality. So I settled on a B tier, kinda in the middle, because I don't really have that many strong feelings regarding his character. I mean, his design is really unique and great, the lore with his eye and stuff, but just his personality, I don't want to say it's nothing special, because that's so mean and that's not how I feel, but his personality just doesn't stand out all that much to me compared to some of the others. Like, obviously, he's a great character, his personality is fun, but he doesn't feel like he has all that much unique to me, just remembering from, like, his Meet the Team video and his dialogues and stuff, and, you know, taunts and all that. He's not bad, he just doesn't feel all that special, and I didn't want to put him any lower, because I do love him, and there are definitely parts of his character that I really like. So, yeah, middle of the road for me. I love Demo Man, TF2 wouldn't be the same without him, but I feel like his personality could use just a little bit more for me, personally. Next up is Scout's dad, and Spy is another one that I really like. I'm giving him A tier. Because, again, accent, easy peasy, but also I love how suave he is, because, you know, his personality and all that. How he's so suave, he's so fancy, so professional with everything, but then he'll drop, like, some pretty hilarious lines. Like, dear lord, you fight like a woman! Stuff like that. Like, he'll just, out of nowhere, bust out some, you know, roasts on people. So, yeah, I enjoy his character quite a bit, but not necessarily as much as the other characters. However, given all his lore and stuff, and the moment, and the comics that I won't spoil, but it involves Scout, 2 moments in fact, I really enjoy his character. There's not a whole lot I dislike about him, and I'm really only keeping him out of S because, well, he's not one of the characters that I immediately think of when I think of my favorites. So I guess he's good at his job, people don't think about him too much. Next up is Pyro, and let me tell you, Pyro was very close to being the one and only C tier. However, after thinking on it a bit, I think he belongs in B with Demo Man. I really enjoy him. The reason I was going to put him in C tier was because from his Meet the Team video and stuff, the only thing you really get from his personality is, oh, he's really fucking scary. Like, people are afraid of him and stuff. And he likes fire and all that, and he wears a virtual reality gas mask, which is pretty cool, but, lore pretty cool. But one of the reasons I moved him up to B was not only because of the lore implications and stuff, it's also because a part of his personality that I had almost forgotten, which is that he's bloody cute. Like, not in a weird way, but, he acts like all childish and stuff, and he has a lot of cute cosmetics and stuff. He literally has all the Pyroland and, like, rain blower stuff. And I like cute stuff. What can I say? I like cute stuff, and his personality is really cute. So, yeah, he's definitely not among my favorites in terms of personality and design. And obviously, they probably could have tried to expand his character more. Though I guess with a character like him, that would have been pretty tough without, like, going against the nature of his character, so I'm not really complaining about it, it's just, unfortunately with the type of character he is, I can't really get that hyped for him personality-wise. And lastly is McMundy, the New Zealander Sniper, and he's going in A tier. Much like Engineer, I love his, politeness you see in his Meet the Team video. And, obviously he has some iconic, quotable lines. But I feel like one of the things that kind of holds him back from S tier for me is, well, he doesn't feel like... I don't know how to put this. Give me a second to think. Alright, I've been thinking for a little while, and literally the only thing I can come up with to explain why I don't want to put him in S tier is that he doesn't feel like S tier. I don't know how to properly convey it, but like I'm looking at the guys in S tier and I'm like, these are my favorite characters in TF2 excluding Sax and Hale. Like, they have really fun, enjoyable personalities, they have like unique traits to them and all that. To me, Sniper doesn't feel as special as those characters. Like, he's not a bad character, far from it. He just doesn't feel like S tier material to me, which sounds so insulting, but yeah, that's all I can think of how to explain it. So, anyway, this has been the video. Let me know your thoughts below. And, I'm sorry this video sounds like more scatterbrained, ADHD and all that, than my other videos, but, well, not by much. I've always had trouble sticking to my scripts, but these ones are entirely unscripted, which is why they're ironically longer, and why everything is, like, so all over the place. I don't script these, I just go off vibes and only take like breaks between things by pushing the pause button on my screen pal to think when I need to and like between my lists and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope that despite all that you guys enjoyed it, and if you want to see more TF2 stuff on the channel, go ahead and let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.